She's the lean, mean, legal defending green machine. That's right, today we're talking about the Jade Giantess herself, the sensational She-Hulk. Created by Stan Lee and John Buscema in November 1979 with the Savage She-Hulk. Fun fact, this was the last character Stan Lee did any writing for, as he'd already moved into a publishing role and would then move into the TV and movie sector shortly after. But going back to She-Hulk, her origin begins when Bruce Banner, still on the run due to the actions of the Hulk, decides to go to California where he meets with his cousin Jennifer Walters, a criminal lawyer, where he explains the situation and discusses the gamma bomb that led to the Hulk, and how it's been waning on his mind. Jennifer, the saint that she is, decides to take him home so they could figure out a solution together. Along the way, Jennifer mentions that she's working a big case defending a man who's being framed by a gangster. She's close to cracking the case, but that's caused the gangster to act, and as they go to enter her home, Jen is shot in the back and passes out. Bruce manages to get Jen to safety and fend off the gangsters without transforming, but Jen has lost a lot of blood. With the dangers of taking her to the hospital both for the gangsters and the authorities finding out who Bruce is, he decides to give her a transfusion using his own blood and calls an ambulance. Doing this saves Jen's life, but the police arrive as well and want to question Bruce. Unable to risk being discovered, Bruce transforms and the Hulk escapes. The next day, Bruce finds out that Jen survived, and it's shown in the newspaper. This, of course, leads to the gangsters coming to the hospital to finish the job. However, as they try to chloroform her, the blood transfusion reveals its added effects, as Jennifer Walters begins to transform, and we see the Savage She-Hulk. She makes short work of the gangsters and causes a slight panic in the public, before managing to revert back to her normal form, keeping her identity quite hidden. Now, the rest of this run, which went for a while, but it's just her fighting nondescript gangsters and corrupt businessmen, though she would have the odd team-up/encounter with other Marvel heroes. Honestly, in my opinion, here, She-Hulk's kinda bland and just kinda treated as, well, a female Hulk. After her run, she would appear in Avengers issue 221, appearing to be much more comfortable in her Hulk form. She was invited to join the team, and she accepted, temporarily giving up her career as a lawyer, and would be a known player on Battleworld during the first Secret Wars, where she would fight her nemesis/occasional friend, Titania. Shortly afterwards, Jen would also join the Fantastic Four as the new muscle of the team. Following the Thing's temporary departure, with the major adventure following that was when she fought the Psycho Man in the Microverse. It was right here where She-Hulk would get a new solo run with John Byrne's sensational She-Hulk. And now, while Jen already did have somewhat of a light-hearted and bubbly personality, I do think it is this run where she really finds her footing as a solo hero. It's also where a big trait of her character would come from, being that she could break the fourth wall to varying levels, either simply talking to the audience or being able to change the story by jumping through the pages. Granted, this was random and has been unused for decades at a time, coming back as randomly as it goes away. It was also in the Sensational She-Hulk where Jen was exposed to an excess amount of radiation that left her stuck in her Hulk form, though in later comics this was only shown to be temporary. Sensational She-Hulk would run for 60 issues, ending with a beautiful heartfelt message to the readers, thanking them for being there. Afterwards, Jen would actually resume her career as a lawyer, and would on occasion rejoin the Avengers on missions, but not as a full member of the team, wanting to put her legal career at the top of her priorities. Until Avengers issue 61, where she would join the team on a more permanent basis. This would lead to an incident in South Dakota where the team were attacked by AIM soldiers in an unsafe environment, the stress of which caused Jen to lose control and enter her savage state, unable to control herself for a brief period and becoming extremely dangerous, until the hero Jack of Hearts reset her gamma level, allowing her to return to her usual self. But this was simply a precursor to an even greater danger. But before that, I want to talk about our next solo run, the one I was specifically introduced to the character with, which is specifically She-Hulk from 2004, written by Dan Slott with art by Juan Bobbio and Marcelo Sosa respectively, which follows Jen in a very interesting light. Following her uncontrollable outrages, Jen decides to live life, how we say, without worrying about much, but to a very high degree, to the point she stops taking anything really seriously, which results to her being late to court, throwing parties after every Avengers mission or one case. This would lead to the Avengers to politely ask her to move out of Avengers Mansion, and for her to lose her job at her law firm after crushing the photocopier trying to take pictures of her butt. This leads to Jen to turn to alcohol for a brief period, until she's approached by Holden Holloway, a big lawyer. He wants her to join his new superhero division of his law firm, the catch being that he wants Jen Walters, not She-Hulk. So, she joins the firm, and the run mostly focuses on exploits of Jen trying to help supers with legal troubles. It also heavily features the best Marvel character in my opinion, Andy the Awesome Android, and her friend/rival Mallory Book. This continued for some time as Jen was able to get herself back on her feet and was then able to resume duties as an active Avenger. This, however, would be short-lived, as unbeknownst to the team at the time, the Scarlet Witch's mental state was severely declining, unintentionally altering the mental states of multiple Avengers, including Jen, who had become irrationally angry to the point her physical form shifted to look closer to that of her cousin, and she destroyed the Vision in a fit of violent rage. She would also injure Captain America before being incapacitated by Iron Man. She was then put into cryosleep until they could figure out the cause, which then resulted in the team discovering that Scarlet Witch's mind was unstable, and she was extremely dangerous, unknowingly altering reality. This would lead to Magneto taking her away to the island nation of Genosha, leading to the events of House of M. That's for another time, though. After all of that, following an event in Bone, Idaho called the Red Zone Incident, Jen found herself unable to transform back into She-Hulk for a while, and so following that, decided to pursue her law career full-time. She would return to Bone, Idaho, however, where Doc Samson, a friend of hers, would gift her the Gamma Charger, which allowed her to transform back into She-Hulk. After that, She-Hulk would be involved in Marvel events such as the Superhero Civil Wars, yes, both of them, as well as being a founding member of A-Force, a team created by Kelly Thompson and G. Willow Wilson, a team that actually existed outside of main continuity first, that being on the world of Arcadia, which was a part of Battleworld during 2015's Secret War, which had the entity known as Singularity sacrifice herself to save her world, or so we thought. As it turns out, Singularity would return in the 616 universe and would meet with her She-Hulk's counterpart, that being our She-Hulk, while on the run from Antimatter, a being comprised of, well, antimatter. Along the way, they recruit Queen Medusa, Nika Minoru, Captain Marvel, and Dazzler. And thanks to Singularity, they name themselves A-Force in the old team's honor. During their battle with Antimatter, however, there was just a little bit of infighting, until Jen stepped in and took charge of the team, becoming the leader. And though the team would stay all close friends, the team itself, unfortunately, would disband a little while later, and Jen would once more try and pursue her law career full-time. Quite some time later, after some more hero work, Jen decided to quit the Avengers and would end up joining her old rival, Mallory Book, at her new law firm, though Mallory herself admitted this was more so that she wouldn't have to fight Jen in a courtroom. This was explored in 2022's She-Hulk, written by Rainbow Rowell and art by, forgive me for this, Rogue Antonio. This run is fantastic. It does an amazing job of reinvigorating She-Hulk, having her reevaluate her relationships with villain-turned-frenemy Titania, as well as exploring her difficulties with her love for Jack of Hearts. I don't really want to say much more, because I want people to read this run themselves, and its subsequent follow-up, 2023 Sensational She-Hulk, also written by Rowell. As of right now, the most recent story with She-Hulk is Planet She-Hulk, written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Aaron Cooter, which follows She-Hulk traveling to the planet Sakaar to accompany her cousin to his son's funeral, and she's been asked to stay there while Hulk and Amadeus Cho leave to investigate other matters, in order to make sure the funeral remains peaceful. Though, as of right now, it's been weeks, and Hulk still isn't back, and Jen has become wrapped up in a murder mystery government conspiracy. As of right now, that's all we know, as at the time of recording, there are still 2 more issues to be released. She-Hulk has also had many appearances in non-comic media, such as animation and video games, and in 2022 she officially joined the MCU, portrayed by Tatiana Maslany in the Disney Plus show She-Hulk Attorney at Law, which is a good show. I don't care if you think otherwise. I think it's good. I really enjoyed it. She-Hulk is an important character in the medium of comics. It was thanks to her runs that people were less afraid to look into superhero comics as a medium to be a fan of, especially for women. Before this, women were expected to enjoy romance books and not much else. And She-Hulk broke down that barrier and criticized misogynistic stereotypes. Granted, She-Hulk wasn't even the first one to do this. Look at the female X-Men from before then. But she is one of the major factors that I do believe helped contribute to it. Hell, her best friend, Hellcat, Patsy Walker, was from the romance timely era of comics and then was rebooted into modern Marvel. That's amazing. It's awesome to see. Not only is She-Hulk responsible for encouraging more women to get into the medium of comics, but she's also an amazing example of themes of female agency and independence. She's probably the most one of, if not the most well-known Marvel superheroine. I don't know that for a fact. This is honestly, when I think of Marvel superheroes, she is the first one that pops into my head. And she's rarely known for being on a team. She's known for solo runs, which is an astounding achievement. At the end of the day, She-Hulk is an amazing character that I would love to see more of, and I'm excited to see her all the time whenever she shows up. For recommended reading, I recommend every book I've talked about today. Every She-Hulk book. Some of them can stay away. House of M is fine. I like House of M. But with all that being said, stay safe, stay true, and stay you. I've been your host, The Comic Wraith, and I hope you've enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.